Let me take you then, Mr. Rose, if I may, to the NBA and to the MVP race, because we have three candidates everyone's talking about. The first of them is Giannis. He leads the NBA in win shares. He's averaging over 27 points and 12 rebounds for the Bucks, who have the best record in the entire NBA. There's James Harden, who's on one of the most historic scoring stretches in the history of the sport. He's averaging nearly 37 points a game. That would be most in any season by any player since Michael Jordan, going back to the mid-'80s. And then there's Paul George, who's been one of the best two-way players in the game. He's second in the league in scoring, first in steals, and also gets 8 rebounds per game. So what does Vegas think as of right now? They've got the Greek Freak and James Harden neck and neck in the race. Both are minus 110 at the WESTGATE Las Vegas Superbook. Paul George has 9-to-1 odds to win the award. He has never finished in the top 8 in the voting. So he's having a sensational year. So Vegas has their opinion. I have mine, but you actually have a vote, which is more significant. And I already know the answer to this question. Who would you give your MVP vote to right
today?
now?
It has to be the Greek Freak because he's so dominant in so many statistical categories, and he competes defensively as well. Now, the offensive numbers that James Harden is putting up have been outstanding. For a guy to average 36 points, that's putting in work. But for the Greek Freak, he's improved as a three-point shooter. He's the engine that drives what's happening with the Bucks, the same way Harden is with the Houston Rockets. I think those two guys are neck and neck for the award, but right now I get an edge to the Greek Freak.
Here's what I would say. At this point, if James Harden isn't the leading candidate for MVP, what in the world does he have to do? You took away not his second best player, his second and third best player on those teams. You take away Chris Paul for basically the entire season, Clint Capella for this entire time. He's doing everything, and he has got that team afloat. In my opinion, if you took the second and third best players off the Bucks, would they be sitting where the Rockets are right now with everyone talking about them having a chance to make a deep run in the playoffs? I don't know what Harden needs to do if he's not the MVP right now.
That's a fair point, Greeny, and you can say the exact same thing about the Greek Freak. If you notice, the Bucks have the best record in the game, and the Houston Rockets are doing a terrific job of climbing in the West. But those were the only two players from their team that were represented in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
That shows how dominant those two players have been.
But they at least have the players they anticipated having when the season started. Harden is, I've heard him say it, and it sounds like people are criticizing him for this scoring streak. He has to do what he's doing. That team, if you took him off of that team would be the Knicks.
I agree with you. They're 1A and 1B, and I think it's going to be decided based on how they finish the year. But how about the great shape that the NBA is in? In no particular order, I was just trying to write down the last few MVPs, how it's all been someone different. LeBron, KD, Steph, Russell, James Harden, and probably the Greek Freak. That's terrific for the NBA.
Yeah, and people will ask, how about the Warriors guys? How about Steph? How about KD? It seems almost impossible to imagine those guys get in the race, considering they cancel each other out.
It's like the Heisman Trophy, exactly. They cancel each other out. They've both been terrific, but one, you can't just put above like a Greek Freak or a James Harden because they have so much of the load to carry.